Hi everyone, it's time to preview the second women's semifinal at the 2016 US Open, and this features Angelique Kerber, this year's Australian Open champion and Wimbledon runner-up, against Caroline Wozniacki, who is a darling of the US Open crowd. She's reached the final twice in 2009 and 2014. I'm expecting this to be the firecracker of a semifinal because for me, it's too close to call. Both these players have played some fantastic tennis at Flushing Meadows so far, and it's going to be really hard to pick a winner in this one. Let's take a look at some of the stats that could be indicative of this result. So, first of all, if we look at it, Angelique Kerber versus Caroline Wozniacki, they've played each other 12 times, and Kerber's won 7, Wozniacki's won 5. Now, one thing to keep in mind over here is that they haven't played yet in 2016, and we all know as tennis fans that the 2016 version of Angelique Kerber is completely different. So, in a sense, the past doesn't hold too much, but it's still interesting to have a look. Even if we look back at last year, 2015, Kerber, they played each other 3 times. Kerber won twice, Wozniacki won once, and interestingly, all 3 matches were close 3-set affairs. So that would suggest that tonight's semifinal is also going to be a close affair because it's very hard to differentiate between those two. On US hard courts, they've played twice, once in Indian Wells and once in Cincinnati, but both these occasions will not bear much relevance in today's times because I think one match was in 2011 and one match was in 2013. Wozniacki's won both the encounters on US hard courts. Let's break down how they've played so far in the tournament. I think one of the reasons why Wozniacki's done so well this year, much to my surprise, I have to admit, she's done really well on her first serve. She's got 65% first serves in and won almost 70% of her first serve points. This has traditionally not been one of her strong suits, but she's done really well. Kerber hasn't done too badly either. 61%, almost 62% first serves in, and again close to 70% first serve points won. Second serve points won, though, Kerber is a bit vulnerable. You can see there 49.48%, whereas Wozniacki, showing her excellent defensive skills, is that even if an opponent attacks her second serve, she's able to get back into the rallies and win points, thus resulting in an almost 54 to 55% success rate over there. Net points won. Kerber's not the most gifted volleyer in the modern game, whereas Wozniacki, that's another reason she's done so well at this tournament. She's been extremely comfortable finishing points off at the net, a very good success rate of 61.25. Where Kerber excels, I think, because of her counter-punching game, is in breaking serve, and she's broken serve very effectively, won 58.13% of her break points. Wozniacki is also a good counter-puncher, and she's done fairly well, 52.27, but it's in the break points saved. And this is where Kerber, in some ways, not that there's any comparison between the two players, but she's a southpaw like Rafa Nadal, and Rafa Nadal also has a very high rate when it comes to break points save. She's got that mentality this year that's helped her a lot, even in tough spots. And you can see 65.21% breakpoint saves. That's a really impressive number. I mean, it's not comparable to Serena, of course, but nonetheless very impressive. Whereas Wozniacki, 59.09%. I think, folks, this is where the match will be decided. The 58.13, these margins over here on breakpoints won and breakpoints saved are really key, because I think that's where Kerber holds the edge, and that's why she's won so much this year. Forehand winners, 44 and 37. Backhand winners for Kerber, 22, 31 for Wozniacki. She is more lethal with her backhand, especially the one down the line when it seems like an opponent's pinned her to the side of the court. She's very good at hitting it down the line. Interestingly enough, of the 22 backhand winners that Kerber has, 15 came in the quarterfinal against Roberta Vinci. Unforced errors, both of them are pretty close. So, like their head-to-head record, there's really not much to separate over here. It's all about fine margins. Who's going to counterpunch more? Who's going to take a more aggressive option? I think that's what's really going to end up deciding this match because both these players by nature are counter attackers. So will they nullify each other? Will we see like extremely long rallies? That's probably highly likely. You've got to give Kerber the slight edge because she's, after all, the number 2 ranked player in the world. But you can't rule out Wozniacki because the crowd's going to be behind her. She's got a lot of support and she's playing great tennis in her own right. So I can't wait for the second semi-final. I just can't wait for tonight's evening session at Atash and see 2 great semi-finals. I hope all of you get to witness the same.